Okay, so those are your options for conflict development if you've got a plot-driven story. How to sort of keep things moving. Your second question, of course, who are these people or who is this specific character, protagonist? You've got character-driven fiction. And for me, the public pool is the central shape. It's going to be kind of clumsy. It looks like this. I'll explain this more in a bit. I want to just make sure that, yeah, okay. What I mean with this, with the sort of the public pool shape and the character-driven fiction, is that what we read for is a deeper and deeper and deeper understanding of who our protagonist is. And what you have to do as the writer is you sort of slip little nuggets of past and flashback to your reader. So we see them acting in the present in a certain way, and we're like, what? Who is this person? Why are they doing this? And then you give us a little bit like, well, when he was a child, he or she was a child. This is the Wallace story. She and her brother were left at in the middle of a field by their parents for days. And you're like, oh, okay, that's something. But that doesn't explain the rest of it. So then you just, that's sort of how it goes. So this is what I mean by the public pool. This is sort of, say, your first flashback, right? And then you rank the flashbacks in a way in order of how much of the reader or how much of the character they reveal to the reader. So you're getting ever and ever deeper. So this is where the diving boards are, if that makes sense. Kiddie pool? Anyway, it's a belabored analogy, but I had to think of something. So, like I said, flashbacks are your main kind of structural element here. And because flashbacks don't happen they could happen in chronological order. I guess they did, but they don't necessarily come up in chronological order. You're under no obligation in presenting them to the reader in chronological order. This isn't like the most recent flashback, and then the before that, no. This sort of level is level of intensity and clarity of understanding of the person. So, what you need to do then is figure out, okay, so of all the memories I have for this character, which one's the most revealing? And this can happen, you can do this in advance, right? You can just think of these big moments for this character, or they can happen in the writing of it, right? What's key, though, is assigning triggers. Things that can link the present to the flashback, to the memory in the past. And triggers can be anything. For Proust's Marcel, it was the smell or taste of a madeleine, right? Which is this little French cookie thing. That's sort of the entirety of In Search of Lost Time. That's just, there's the enormous novel that just is all spun from this one trigger toward memory. It could be, so that's an object, but it's also a kind of smell or taste sensation. It could be a line of dialogue that somebody says that, oh, I've heard this before, right? This is how the world works. This is how memory works for us. Our memories are triggered by external things that we sense, and then the brain starts moving. This is how it works in your story, right? So you just drop in certain things that then trigger the flashback and trigger the memory. And then when that memory is sort of finished, then you just leap back into the present and keep going on your way. So I think that's everything to be, yeah. So as an example, again, I don't want to give away too much of the Wallace story, but how it works is, that first scene that I read you with the main character and her brother were left on the roadside is something. But then we start to get more information about her past, and they read a lot of encyclopedias, which explains her Jeopardy prowess. There's stuff about her history with men. There's like her understanding and relationship with animals becomes very key, and some of that information that's very key to her is withheld until the very end of the story. Wallace could have chosen to give it to us from the beginning, but it would sort of weaken the story, right? We wouldn't get progressively deeper into her understanding. We'd get it all at once. And it's sort of like this tease with Freytag's triangle, right? Where you have to positive, negative, positive, negative. You need to sort of save the meat of these characters to the very, very end. And that's what we keep seeking out as readers. Okay, I think that's everything. Oh, no. A few final things. Remember, with character-driven fiction, you still have conflict. Okay, this still exists. There's still a problem or something in the center, and that leads to a climax action that happens, again, in the present of the story. But that climax action is triggered by the ultimate flashback, which is to say our complete understanding of who this character is, then brings about the moment of change. And with character-driven fiction, that sense of change is what's different, right? Stories show us some sort of change. With plot-driven fiction, things change, right? There's this, we start in this situation, there's a problem, we overcome it, we've changed. That can get a little bit more muted in character-driven fiction. What often changes more than anything in character-driven fiction is our understanding as readers of who this character is. And if we can come to this sense that we really know this person and understand who he or she is and why he or she acts this way, that can often be enough change for us to feel like we've gone through a significant full story. Okay, so both of these stories that we're going to read for Tuesday, Wallace's Little Expressionless Animals and Mary Capernegro's the Father's Blessing, are character-driven pieces, and they do it in different ways. But when you're reading, pay close attention to what triggers might exist and how sort of the pasts of these characters are being revealed bit by bit. Okay, and yeah, I think that's everything. So I will see you all on Tuesday.